Oh my God.
Welcome back to Car Show 1, the home of classic legends, modern beasts, and everything that makes the automotive world exciting. Today, we take a journey back in time to explore one of Chevrolet's most iconic muscle cars, the 1979 Chevrolet Camaro Z28. This car is more than just a machine, it's a symbol of resilience, style, and American pride. At a time when the golden era of muscle cars was fading, the Camaro Z28 kept the fire alive, reminding the world that power, passion, and performance would never die in the heart of a true enthusiast. The story of the Camaro begins in 1967, when Chevrolet introduced it as a direct rival to the Ford Mustang. Over the years, it evolved through several generations, but by the late 1970s, the muscle car world was struggling. The oil crisis, emission regulations, and economic changes had forced manufacturers to tone down performance. Despite these challenges, the Camaro Z28 stood strong in 1979, bold, stylish, and determined to keep the muscle legacy alive. The 1979 Camaro Z28 arrived with a refreshed design and attitude. It wasn't just a car, it was a rolling declaration that American muscle still had heart. The design was aggressive and aerodynamic, with a front end that looked ready to devour the road. The split grille, rectangular headlights, and power bulge on the hood gave it a dominant stance. And the signature Z28 graphics, bold stripes running along the sides and the hood, shouted performance from every angle. Chevrolet knew that even if horsepower numbers had dropped since the 1960s, the attitude had to remain untamed. In 1979, the Camaro's design reflected the era's shift toward sleeker, more refined muscle cars. The wide fender flares, the low stance, and the integrated rear spoiler made it look muscular yet modern. You could choose from several vibrant colors, but it was the bold graphics package that made the Z28 instantly recognizable. The aerodynamic improvements weren't just for show, they helped with stability at higher speeds and gave the car an edge over its competitors. Step inside, and you're greeted by a cockpit built for driving pleasure. The interior of the 1979 Z28 featured deep bucket seats, a sporty 3-spoke steering wheel, and a dashboard filled with easy-to-read gauges. It was simple but effective, giving the driver full control and visibility. The cabin wasn't about luxury, it was about performance. Every dial, every switch had a purpose. The Z28 wasn't trying to be a comfortable cruiser, it was designed to make you feel like a part of the machine. Now, let's talk about the heart of this beast, the engine. Under the hood sat a 5.7-liter V8 engine, also known as the 350 cubic inch small block. It produced around 175 horsepower and 270 pound-feet of torque. That may sound modest by today's standards, but in 1979, it was still impressive. Remember, this was a time when most performance cars had been severely restricted by emissions regulations. Yet Chevrolet managed to squeeze out respectable power while keeping the Z28 street legal. When you turned the key, the engine came to life with that unmistakable V8 rumble, deep, raw, and full of character. The power delivery was smooth, with enough torque to make the rear wheels come alive when you hit the gas. The Z28 could sprint from 0 to 60 miles per hour in about 7.5 seconds, which was quite quick for the late 1970s. And once you were on the open road, the car's balance of speed and control made it an absolute joy to drive. The transmission options added to its appeal. Drivers could choose between a 4-speed manual or a 3-speed automatic gearbox. The manual, of course, was the enthusiast's favorite, giving a more connected driving experience. Shifting through the gears, feeling the torque push you back into the seat. That's what muscle cars were all about. But the 1979 Camaro Z28 wasn't just about straight-line speed. Chevrolet worked hard to improve its handling and suspension. It featured heavy-duty springs, stabilizer bars, and upgraded shocks that gave it better cornering stability compared to earlier models. The steering was responsive, and the car handled tight turns with surprising confidence. For the first time, the Camaro wasn't just a drag strip warrior, it was also capable of holding its own on twisty roads. Chevrolet engineers had found a way to balance power, control, and comfort, something that made the Z28 one of the most enjoyable muscle cars of its time. It had power steering, power brakes, and even air conditioning as optional extras, making it practical for daily driving without losing its wild side. One of the most impressive things about the 1979 Z28 was its sales success. That year, Chevrolet sold over 282,000 Camaros, and a significant portion of those were Z28 models. Despite the tough times for performance cars, people still wanted a machine that looked fast, felt powerful, and represented freedom. The Camaro Z28 delivered exactly that. Culturally, the Z28 became a symbol of rebellion and individuality. It appeared in movies, music videos, and car magazines, often associated with rock music, racing, and youth culture. It was the kind of car you bought not just to drive, but to express who you were. When you pulled up in a Z28, people noticed. It carried an attitude that said, "I don't follow trends, I make them." In terms of performance, the 1979 Z28 wasn't the fastest Camaro ever made, but it was one of the most balanced and stylish. Its wide stance, rear-wheel drive setup, and torquey V8 made it engaging and fun, while its bold looks made it unforgettable. It bridged the gap between the raw, unfiltered power of the 1960s and the more sophisticated performance of the 1980s. Driving the 1979 Z28 was a sensory experience. The feel of the steering wheel, the rumble under your feet, and the sound of the engine roaring through the dual exhaust, it all combined into a driving experience that few modern cars can replicate. There were no driving modes, no traction control, no computers, just you, the car, and the open road. It demanded respect and rewarded skill. Today, the 1979 Camaro Z28 holds a special place in the hearts of collectors and car enthusiasts. Restored versions are highly sought after, often selling for impressive prices at auctions. Many owners take pride in preserving these cars, keeping them as close to their original glory as possible. When a Z28 drives by today, people still turn their heads, appreciating the beauty and power of a true American icon. The legacy of the Z28 continues to live on in modern Camaros. Chevrolet has revived the Z28 name several times, each time paying tribute to the spirit of the original. But ask any classic car lover, and they'll tell you, there's something magical about the late 70s Z28. It's a car that represents determination, creativity, and passion during one of the toughest periods in automotive history. What makes the 1979 Z28 truly special is that it symbolizes survival. While many muscle cars disappeared, the Camaro adapted and endured. It proved that muscle cars weren't just about big engines, they were about emotion, heritage, and the joy of driving. So, when you look at the 1979 Chevrolet Camaro Z28, you're not just looking at a car, you're looking at a piece of American history. You're seeing the determination of engineers and designers who refused to give up on performance. You're hearing the echoes of roaring engines and open highways. And you're feeling the spirit of a generation that lived for speed, style, and freedom. That's why, decades later, the Camaro Z28 still captures hearts. It stands as a reminder that legends never die, they simply evolve. Thank you for watching Car Show 1, where every car has a story and every legend gets the spotlight it deserves. If you enjoyed this journey through time, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next episode. Tell us in the comments, would you take the 1979 Z28 for a spin, or do you prefer its modern counterparts? Either way, one thing's for sure, the spirit of the Camaro will always live on.